Okay, so I hope the nave lambs are done celebrating Valentine's all over the world, right? And it was quite strange. I tried to go live with the Facebook and my computer, and it did not work. And I tried the same thing with my YouTube account, and it says it's gonna take 24 hours. And I know it's not a great time to bring this Armageddon shit, I should say, because a lot of you should be very curious about what Armageddon is, what Malhama is, if you belong to the Muslim world. Okay, so but it's full of dynamite, full of passion. I'm thirsty, I'm sleepy. I know I'm not in the great shape to speak all this, but this is forcing me for now, you know. So let me say a little bit about this, you know, that the pressure point is Iran, the entire region which is known as the Persian Gulf. And the Arab world says this to be the Arab world. So, you know, the places which have taken the entry into the Security Council of the United Nations with their endurance and hard work, because they stood the time of test. Okay, so Iran has been trying to do a very notoriously naughty thing that everyone knows, and just a coincidence that the state of Israel recognized it on the very first hand, and the Israel was the first to recognize it. So it has the great concerns. Israel has the great concerns to make sure that it's not going to pose a threat to the world. So this is quite serious if you take it seriously, and if you take my message into two dimensions, it can be recognized towards two audience majorly. Number one is the Muslim world, regardless of Shia and Sunni, and the second is the rest of the Western and the Eastern world, which is non-Muslim. Why? Because it involves a greater proportion of the Shia and Sunni worlds, which has a strange and mysterious animosity. What this is not strange and mysterious. Why? Because at this point, it has nothing to do with the mystery of Shia and Sunni animosity, but it has all to do with the fire which can be triggered by the Shia and Sunni war. How? I'll let you know that, as I said, that the Israel is recognizing this threat to a great degree, then naturally the Israel's first reaction towards the nuclear arm development program of Iran is to make sure that it's not going to do any harm to any neighboring Arab Spring, especially to the Saudi Arabia or Iraq, right? Because United States is present in Iraq to some degree in form of NATO. So the first thing, and most importantly, it involves India and Pakistan. How? I'll let you know that the Pakistan is somehow supporting the Iran's nuclear development program in many ways, and it has been forcing circumstances for the Israel to mark and to identify the India as to one of the greatest strategic partner of its after the United States, and to spread its roots and to bring India to a position that India has to intervene wantedly or unwantedly into the Pakistani land through the different military means, be it the air or the land, right? So, and Iran is going to recognize it in the same way, in the very same manner. I know my camera is shaking, but whoever is going to listen has to listen it regardless. And when this happens, the Israel has to intervene by an act which is going to be recognized by rest of the world as by the action of brutality and an unjust action that Israel is going to invade Iran. And when this happens, you know what? In reaction, since Iran is strategically poised in such a geographical location that it can easily take control of any neighboring region. So in reply, in reaction, Iran is going to attack Iraq. And especially when I say the Iraq, that means not only the Sunni world of Iraq, the NATO, the United States present in Iraq in some form. So when it does so, you know what, the presence of NATO is somehow going to be subjected to be sabotaged badly. Why? Because even the Shia and the Sunni Muslims are going to support Iran in this operation to bring the NATO to a point of somehow choking it. And then the same thing is going to happen with Saudi Arabia. When Iran attacks Saudi Arabia, then Saudi Arabia will be forced by hook or by crook. They have no option other than invoking the secret defense treaties they have with the United States and bringing the United States to face Iran in their land, to save them, to rescue them. And then comes the point which will lead wantedly or unwantedly to a point of no return if it involves the use of nuclear weapons by Israel and the United States. Why? Because China and Russia, they have a limit. If the nuclear weapons are involved in this operation, they will identify it as to be a challenge to their boundaries. And you know what happens if China and Russia recognize this to be a threat by the involvement of the nuclear weapons into this military operation, which is going to be a joint venture started from Israel and ultimately combining the Arab Spring, the Saudi Arabia and Israel and the United States. And if that happens, then the same story is going to prove the truth. The same thing that the Russia and China did in the times of Libya. You know what they did? They were silent. They abstained in the vote. Why? Because they know that only if they abstain from the vote, then the Gaddafi is going to be brought down by the United States. And then when the Hillary says, we came, we saw, and he died. And that's what happened in Libya. So they know that to what depth they require to bring NATO in the Middle East so that NATO cannot step further and cannot move, and it's paralyzed to an extent that they can bring it to a point of total capture. So that's how they wanna. That's how they are planning to break the backbone of NATO. And if you picture Russia and China combiningly planning and trying to breaking the backbone of NATO, then it's pretty easy to imagine what's going to happen in the world. So yes, spread this, understand this, and just follow this. I'm not saying that you have to be a specialist on international affairs or anything, but at least you consider, because the waves becomes the storm. I hope that carries some kind of sense. Thank you very much.